tag them out so they're not on the field anymore to rank up. So it's going to be really restrictive for the Purrely strategy. But then again, that's where straight Purrely Street really shines. And also, you really want to look at Purrely Happy Memory. Happy Memory prevents a card from being destroyed, and you're able to use that on your Purrely in the chain to the Extinguish. That's something you really want to look for.
And that way, if Extinguish isn't resolving, actually destroying the card, then you don't have to worry about those effects not being able to be used for the rest of the turn. So these decks are almost perfectly designed to go against each other, and these duelists are very well matched.
Yeah, it's going to be a matchup of knowledge here, and I imagine both these players know exactly what they're looking for and looking to find in this matchup.
That was hard. That's nice.
Great sportsmanship of the players. They look very comfortable up there.
They've been here before.
Very recently in the case of Steven Santoli.
It's like they're ready to go here for game 1 of top 16 here at YCS Richmond, Virginia. Let's see who wins this role here. I don't think it particularly matters this time. You know, we don't get to say that very often, but I think both these players have enough in their toolbox that they're able to just go second very convincingly.
You wouldn't get this far in the tournament if you weren't ready to go first or second.
So just looking at Steven Santoli's hands, I believe that's 2 copies of Ash Blossom as well as Hydrant and Enemy Controller.
Time to use Hydrant's effective search.
You also have about 5 minutes to turn.
Leading with Hydrant is very interesting. It's not necessarily the ideal opener, but you are able to access your any rescue-based monster here, but you need an extender to be able to keep playing. It looks like he's going to go for that Preventer, but he doesn't have a copy of Emergency in his hand.
So without the emergency, he may not be able to bring out the Rescue Ace Airlifter that he would need to get out the field spell in order to normal summon additional monsters. So this could be a little locking for Steven.
It looks like he's going to have to link away the Hydrant here into Link Karibo. Then he can special summon the Preventer by banishing the Hydrant, and at least this allows him to put the Hydrant back on the field when you're linking these monsters away.
Preventer really excelled this strategy to the forefront of modern dueling because, again, not only are you able to flip your opponent's cards face down, but you get a free material for this Link Summon SP Little Knight. And then there comes the Rescue Ace Hydrant back on the field.
So it looks like if he's going to just commit to this Little Knight here, instead of trying to commit some more bodies to more extra deck plays, he just needs to protect the Hydrant at all costs. Yeah, it looks like he's keeping the Infinite Impermanence in hand. Oh, I see what he's trying to do. He's leading Clifton to believe that he doesn't even have Infinite Impermanence because he's going to attempt to use the Little Knight to protect his own Hydrant. He's going to banish them both from the field, and then his Impermanence from hand is going to come as a surprise along with that Ash Blossom.
Well, let's see what he ends up surprising his opponent with and if that pays off. Because sometimes if you hold those cards, just depending what happens, you may not get a second chance to use them.
Yeah, and he's trying to use that Enemy Controller as more of an aggressive card rather than defensive. And we start with Pretty Memory, I believe, and then we're going to immediately train the Little Knight to protect that Hydrant.
Definitely is a Pretty Memory.
And there's going to be a discard of Purrely. Take note here, Clifton does seem to be left-handed, so all the cards are going to be reversed in this order. The graveyard is going to be on that side over there.
Did see a Nibiru, the Primal Being, in the deck there as we were going through it, so there's a possibility that that might be able to stop Steven if he has an onslaught of Rescue Ace monsters. But we haven't gotten that far yet. Right now, it just looks like we are revealing 3 cards for the effect of Purrely.
And that is a miss.
Ooh, a complete miss. Setting those cards back to the bottom of the deck.
Yep.
Thinking about the next play here.
And then the normal summon, that is going to be met with Infinite Impermanence. Clifton might not have expected that given this line of play, but that is the most powerful card to hit with Impermanence because, again, hard ones per turn for each of those effects.
Exactly. So we won't be searching any Purrely cards from the deck, and we see that it's mostly traps in a deck that really wants to see its spells. From Clifton's hand, there doesn't seem to be any, well, hope for escape.
Yeah, it's just Purrely, Infinite Impermanence, and then Nibiru. Infinite Impermanence and Nibiru already a really powerful combo, but it looks like he's going to have to hope for that just to be enough. But you still have the ability to go into a rank 1 here, maybe Sylvan Princess Sprite.
Would be a way to get an additional spell card possibly and get back into this duel. But we know that there's an Ash Blossom in the hand there on Steven's side, so if he does make that Sylvan Princess Sprite, it might not turn out the way that Clifton hopes.
It's between that or something along the lines of Little Knight. Oh, look, he does have a battle phase. Maybe Zeus is a lot safer.
That is possible there, and there really isn't anything on the field that would stop that, nor any cards in the hand that would stop it either.
Yep. I'm at,
so he's really hoping to get that extra value from the materials here. So he's just trying to stack it up as big as he can. He could have gone for Princess Proud and tried to get another card, but only have a one-time use Zeus.
Yep.
But this way, with the Downerd, you do have 2 activations.
But obviously Clifton must have been in some bad situations before. It's not every duel that all of your cards work, so obviously this backup plan is giving him a route to Zeus. After we see the Downerd Musician, giving that additional material in main phase 2, and then yeah, there is our Zeus.
Yeah, Steven set himself up to be in a really great position here because he does get to start the turn with the Hydrant and the Little Knight. He will likely... It's very interesting, yeah, so not going to use a Zeus right now. So holding that enemy controller in his hand is going to be really useful here. So if Clifton doesn't launch the Zeus immediately, then yeah, this Hydrant is going to be so explosive.
Very interesting that he decided to let that go through. Must be holding off those Zeus materials for just something else.
I mean, I think Clifton just believes he doesn't have anything along the lines of enemy controller because, again, Steven didn't set it. And okay, he's going for turbulence here. Did he draw Airlifter, I wonder? Because I think Airlifter would be such an... Oh, he drew Preventer. Okay.
See the Preventer, enemy controller, and Ash Blossom along with that recently added turbulence. Take a look at the graveyard here, sort of strategizing the play, but we're going to enter the code left, right, A, B. It's enemy controller time.
Yeah, I was wondering if he wanted to wait to commit something more on the field or just use it immediately. I mean, this is going to bait out the Zeus regardless. I wonder, but you're choosing to let the Little Knight go in this instance. Either that or you're just choosing to not have the enemy controller resolve. Oh, no, we're just going to give him the Zeus.
Now, it's only a 3,000 attack monster. Doesn't necessarily spell the end of Clifton's life points, especially with his memory allowing them both to gain that extra 1,000. But now it just seems a little wild on Clifton's side. What is he going to do to be able to stop these plays?
Yeah, so now he's going to be able to use the Zeus to try to bait out that infinite impermanence. If he chains the impermanence, he's just able to chain the Little Knight to get rid of the Zeus. And I mean, not that it matters, I guess. You wouldn't really do that anyway, but...
At that point, you'd be trading a body, but it might be a way to get it off the field and lose its materials.
If anything, I think infinite impermanence is going to be used on the Little Knight. Oh, no, okay, so yeah, we're just going to let it go. That makes most sense.
So my banishing to...
And this is the big thing, right? Nibiru is a powerful card, but it doesn't really matter as much if Turbulence is already resolved.
It's my turn.
If you set those 4, in fact, many of the cards that you have from the Rescue A set 4 play from Turbulence will bring back that field. So with Alert or Emergency or maybe... Oh, let's take a look what 4 he's going to set.
Contain.
It's like Contain, Emergency, Extinguish, and finally...
Rescue.
Gonna go for a rescue. So that field will be easy to build back up even if the Nibiru Primal Being smacks down.
And this is something that I believe Clifton has to be kind of careful for. He doesn't get to just wait until the end of the main phase at this point. He did summon both Downerd and Zeus on the previous turn. So at any point, Steven could choose to turn that Zeus into a Typhon, which would block the Nibiru.
It would be wild to see Zeus basically turn into its arch rifle Typhon.
All Steven needs to do is set up a way to get that Hydrant back on the field, which he already has.
3,000. Yep. 3,000. Yes, sir.
Yeah, he just doesn't need to commit very much here. As long as he's able to set up the Hydrant, he'll be able to have the ability to lock him up with Contain and Extinguish, where there's very limited cards in Clifton's hand.
Just asking, you didn't use Little Knights tonight, right?
I did not, no. That's the end.
Just confirming that we did not use the effect of SP Little Knight this turn?
I was like, we're just linking these two monsters away into an IP Masquerena.
Effective Preventer is summoned by banishing Turbulence.
Allowing the Turbulence to go to the graveyard, and that way you can go ahead and get that Preventer back on the field.
I will attempt to go in phase.
Yep, and that's going to be enough to go into the end phase. And now, did he set...
It was Contain, Extinguish, Emergency, and I believe Alert.
Okay.
Or no, Rescue, excuse me, Rescue.
Okay, so there was an emergency here. Yeah, okay, that is enough for Clifton. We're going to be moving on into game 2. Not the ideal opener for Steven, but he navigated it extremely well, knowing what he had to do and being really patient, really conservative, holding the resources in his hand. He knew what he needed those cards to do, and they weren't supposed to be defensive. They were going to be really aggressive and offensive.
Absolutely. Kind of a Duel Link special. Those who play Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links are very familiar with how powerful Enemy Controller is because it's on, they're limited to one list specifically. And keeping that card in the hand kind of gives that same Duel Links energy, just surprising your opponent that you never knew that they had that card because they didn't set it, right? And you avoid things like infinite permanence because, again, Clifton saw a set card, he might have set the infinite permanence in front of that, and the enemy controller might not have done anything.
You know, it's crazy to see, like, after Steven managed to play that game so well, he still looks so concerned. He still seems distraught at the game itself.
Well, it's one of those things, everybody duels differently, but you always think, okay, how could I have optimized this better? Or you're just holding yourself accountable, right? You're not believing your own hype. You're not thinking about the fact that you won a previous YCS. You're taking it one duel at a time and focusing on this game. Now, speaking of focusing, what do you think you pull from the side decks into this match in order to sort of give you the extra edge?
All right, so for Steven's side, we do see those spellbounds, which I think is really critical in this matchup. You want to be able to stop the Purrely. You know, you can also stop IP Masquerade if that does happen to come down, but mainly just stopping the Purrely so you're not going to have to deal with the Noir if it wasn't able to be naturally made on turn 1, which is really difficult without something along the lines of Delicious Memory. And as far as Clifton goes, I don't know if he wants to really do anything differently from his main strategy. I do believe he's going to be putting in something along the lines of Summon Limit. Really
that would be
to lock up the field.
You absolutely could use Summon Limit. In fact, it's a pretty popular card in the Purrely strategy. But again, you're going to have to hope that you get not just the Summon Limit, but also cards you could use to put monsters on the board. That was the big problem in Duel 1 with Clifton. Not that he did anything bad on purpose, but it just didn't allow to get those cats on the field.
Yeah, you know, it was really ironic because you look at Clifton's hand, it seems really strong, right? He has a way to play. He has some of the most powerful interruptions in his hand that you can ask for. But Steven just didn't have a whole lot going for him. So he just made the safest play possible, and all the resources that Clifton had weren't going to be useful enough.
That's true, but we're going to go into game 2 here in YCS Richmond in our top 16.
It's really exciting. I love being able to see players play at their absolute best in a matchup like this. Let's see if Clifton draws a little bit better here, more engine to go with. He does look like he has a copy of Purrely. He's going to be starting off with a normal summon here. Gonna look at the top 3 cards. Oh, no, but
2 infinite impermanences is going to be crazy. We might be in the same situation here, and I think I just saw an Effect Veiler.
Absolutely. So Steven looks at his hand. He's going to choose to be very aggressive, trying to really block Clifton from getting anywhere here, even though that could be really dangerous because it doesn't take much. And it was already enough with just 1. Clifton could not play, but then this means Steven has to know he doesn't have engine. So if that's going to be a lot of non-engine, those are looking to be infinite impermanences. I mean, it could be a Purrely, but you might as well play around the other non-Purrely interactions at this point. Oh, it was an immediate pass back from Steven as well.
Decided not to go ahead and set his infinite impermanences, so he wasn't worried about having, well, them counter themselves. He's going to chain the effect of Book of Eclipse, so that means that the effect is not going to be negated. He's going to access his deck and add a new Purrely card.
Yeah, so he will not be able to flip up that Purrely this turn at least, but the Purrely could be flipped back up because it was there from last turn. My friend's going to be able to pay 500 and reveal 3 Purrely spells.
Yep, pay 5.
Or like 3 Purrely cards, any Purrely card.
Yep.
Could be going for 3 of the same name. Probably doing that just to make sure that he gets it, so we'll see what it is that he wants to access. I would imagine you probably need to go for one of the memories right now. It'd be nice to get the field spell, but now's not the time because your cards are, well, they're face down. You need monsters to go ahead and get those powerful Purrely effects on and get Exceasing.
I believe he also just has a copy of Street in his hand at this point already, so he's really just looking for a way to develop in any way. Unfortunately, he will have to try to likely go for... Okay, he's going to go for Happy. Interesting here. I thought he was going to try to go for Sleepy just to try to set up a Noir.
No, it looks like he's locked into Happy, Happy, and Happy, so we'll randomly add one of those to his hand. The other 2 go back to the deck.
Not so random, really, but I suppose you don't know which Happy.
You don't know which Happy it is.
Happy Memory's fine. Sure.
So he's going to manually change the battle position of that monster since it hasn't been summoned this turn. It's nice to have Purrely face up on the field.
He's going to use Purrely on the field to rank up with that Happy, and so not using the Happy's effect here to summon from deck. We're going to go into Purrely Happiness.
Yep. Yep, I'll take you.
Happiness is going to be able to attack, and it's going to be able to use its effect to add another.
Definitely the first happy memory Clifton might have of this duel, finally getting to resolve his effects. Making the decision carefully here to determine what you're going to grab, and it's going to be the Pearl Leap.
Yep, this makes solid sense. He does already have access to Street, so he can just put the Street on the field. The Street will at least put 1 Sleepy Memory under the Happiness, and then you can get access to 2 different draws here on Steven's turn.
Yes.
So you're right, we are going into the deck and grabbing that Sleepy Memory. Such a great card with Pearl Leap because you're going to get 1 draw during the standby phase, use the trap card, and then, well, you get another draw during the standby phase because that monster hasn't used the effect yet.
I had to read Eclipse real quick. Is it just opponent's monsters?
Yeah, it's just opponent's monsters for Eclipse. You're not going to be giving Steven any draws here, except for that draw for turn.
I'll concede.
Yeah, Steven not seeing any way to play his deck at this point. It was strictly non-engine and like an HQ. No actual Rescue Ace monsters. Clifton takes game 2 handily.
Doesn't help when the Rescue Ace headquarters is there, but you don't actually have any fire department members at the headquarters. Taking a look, though, this is going to be interesting. Thinking about what you might side deck in the final game. Again, Steven probably going to go first, so he can make a couple of different decisions here. Do you think if you put the Spellbounds in, do you take them out for now since you're going first, or do you leave them in because you really want to lock down your opponent?
I don't know if you really... I think Spellbound... how restrictive is it really when you're able to just play already? I think you want to just focus on getting your field set up as much as possible.
It's true that technically, while that Book of Eclipse might have saved those effects, it didn't necessarily get anything going forward. And so Steven might make that consideration, saying, hey, you know, I'm seeing my opponent. He does have extra cards that stop me, but it doesn't really get his strategy going. All right, players looking defensive. You're absolutely right. Steven just holding himself accountable, still being serious, making sure that he makes the right choices. Clifton in his zone as well, just trying to figure out what they're going to do. Again, it is an honor to be up at the top tables of this far, but both players are obviously in it to win it. They want to go ahead and take home that Another vs. Plutonia trophy.
I suppose Spellbound is probably as good as Dimensional Barrier, so you might as well just put it in going first or second. It really is just a better version of Dimensional Barrier in this matchup. So you probably end up putting it in, as well as maybe Nibiru over a certain other, because I don't think you need enemy controller at this point if you're going first. So you just probably want to put in the better versions of these interruptions that are non-engine. Because I think Nibiru really fits that role of Droll and Lockbird versus many other matchups. But Droll and Lockbird is fine against Purrely, but not nearly as good because they can play so much in the draw phase. So you'd rather have the Nibiru, because Nibiru is historically not that great against Purrely itself. But when it has to play into your field, it's very different. You have to commit a lot more bodies that way.
Absolutely. And certainly there are a lot of bodies in Rescue Ace and Purrely both, but we'll have to see. It looks like the duelists are almost ready to get started here in just this amazing game. And here's the good news. We have 30 minutes left on the clock, so we likely are going to see a full and complete duel here.
Almost certainly. These players have been playing at an incredible pace here. They know when they don't have any cards to use, and they know what they're going to use their cards for when they have them.
I mean, game one was enough, I guess.
Definitely taking Ishizu's Power of the Millennium Necklace there, knowing, hey, I'm not going to win this duel. Let me go ahead and use the time that I have.
The players are just getting ready to go, and here we are getting ready for game number 3, the last game of top 16 here.
I'll take first.
Which deck will take it on top from the amazing defenders? Will it be Purrely? Will it be Rescue Ace? It looks like another opening of Normal Summon Hydrant. Again, not very strong. He does have an Impulse in his hand, so he's able to play on his opponent's turn, but it's not really ideal. You'd rather just play on your turn than you can.
It's probably one of the few decks that doesn't want to take the hour turn approach. You really do want to get the Rescue Ace set up immediately. It's nice to have the Preventers. We're probably just going to see this linked off into Link Karibo. Clifton noticing that it looks familiar. It is very much the same start of the turn.
Yeah, Steven not being particularly lucky here in an overall very consistent engine. I think this is the trade-off, right? Steven really wants to focus on that non-engine, so he's sacrificing the positions of playing multiple DLL stars, and this is what happens when you don't have less access.
I will set one and attempt to pass to you.
Oh, looks like he actually opted to keep those Droll and Lockbirds. Probably over Nibiru, I guess, if you're trying to choose which one has maximum output. He still has that Little Knight to protect the Hydrant, and if he's able to use, I believe that's a Contain that he has. I mean, it would be way better if it's Extinguish. I couldn't really tell which trap card it was.
I believe it was Contain, and you're absolutely right that it would be better to have two, but at least he's got that one, and he does have the Rescue Ace on the field, so hopefully he's able to keep those Purrelys at bay, but we got to see what the first play for Clifton will be.
Yeah, at least with the Impulse as well, if he does play Fire Engine, which I believe he does, he's able to just throw some bodies in the field so he can generate as much advantage going into the next turn as possible, compared with Droll and Lockbird, and hopefully effective use of the trap card should be enough. But it looks like Clifton doesn't have anything either. None of these players are drawing particularly well this game.
It just looks like the Heart of Cards is working against them, but you can't always rely on that. You do have to have skill, too. It's not just about luck. And so, looks like we are navigating this. Ash Blossom is going to go ahead and stop.
That is
the Hydra.
Yeah, it looks like there was a drawn emergency here, and Ash used on Hydrant as a desperation play. If you're drawing emergency off the bat, that has to be really rough for Clifton to see. So now you're able to freely go into the Hydrant here. Do you have any way to stop it? I mean, he's going to be forced to use Little Knight, or you're going to be forced to use Infinite Impermanence pretty much immediately on the Turbulence, which would, because if you use it any later, if you wait till the activation, Little Knight could be chained, and then the Turbulence would resolve because it will be no longer on the field. But we know there's already, actually, no, we don't know Preventer because Preventer was already used, but Preventer would have made this really easy to resummon that Turbulence.
Anything on rest? Like Turbulence?
Yep. So we're going to go with set forward. All right, so looks like rescue, and after that we're going to grab Contain.
We're going to see.
I imagine it's going to be 3 spells because he does have one of the traps set.
3 now? I think.
Yeah, sounds right. Yep.
Interesting that the Turbulence is in defense. It looks like maybe Steven's not going to try to commit to the battle phase here, or he's going to either commit more deeply into the links, and he knows that he just doesn't want to do anything else with those guys just yet.
Might not be able to go for game 2 and just be setting up for a turn where he stops all of Clifton plays and then goes into the next turn, but I think it may be different. Looks like SP Little Knight.
Rescue Turbulence off for SP Little Knight.
Ah.
So he gets the banish.
Face down to banish it.
Yeah, it looks like Steven is playing extremely conservatively here, opting to not even have attack at all. Because, I mean, this is what happens, right? You know that's not infinite permanence. It would have been used already. And you know Clifton doesn't have any cards to play. So you assume he has strictly non-engine, right? Strictly interruptions in the hand. You're playing around all of them and you're playing as conservatively as possible. You're trying to get as much advantage from every single effect that you can, leaving Clifton with no trade-ups. If Clifton can't get any trade-ups here, there's just no way he can ever play through the +4 that you just got.
It's absolutely true. Having 5 cards in hand doesn't mean anything if you can't get your game plan going, and that's what the Rescue A strategy does really best, is stop game plans from happening, right? The fire department is absolutely prepared with the Contain and Extinguish, so it's really going to take a lot of just very careful moves from Clifton to navigate through, but it looks like we're just setting a card and passing the
There's
turn.
another set
You
one.
target the...
So in the end phase, we have Rescue trying to Reborn. It looks like maybe going for the Turbulence.
Hydrant.
Nope, yep, going for the Hydrant here.
Still in end phase.
So now in end phase, you can use the alert to add from deck because you have Hydrant in your hand, or sorry, Hydrant on the field.
I do see a Nibiru there in the hand, so maybe that's why Clifton still feels like he's got some hope there. Again, if there are too many monsters that are brought out, that obviously is going to have Nibiru set up, but that's what's so great about Steven's play right now. This is the end phase of the turn. He's summoning these monsters now, so he doesn't have to do it next turn, and can maybe stop shy of Nibiru.
Draw for turn? Yep.
We're going to draw for turn now.
Semi main.
Probably just lead with...
Effect Hydrant to
Yep,
switch.
Hydrant immediately being able to get another card here. I think that puts Steven to 7 cards in hand.
Quite a few there.
He's going to grab that Airlifter. Airlifter will be able to potentially grab Rescue's headquarters.
We'll normal summon Airlifter attempt to use the effect to search.
All right, we're going back to HQ here, probably.
There it is. Not giving the 500 boost while your opponent doesn't have any monsters, but still able to recycle those spells and traps, or just any Rescue's cards.
Also gives you that great extra normal summon. Although having already used Airlifter, we probably won't have that come up now.
Preventer attempt to special summon itself by banishing...
All right, this is summon number 2. Preventer going for banishing that Turbulence, putting itself on the field.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, he's counting how many summons he needs to commit here to get that damage in. There's not that many.
So we're going to link off our Rescue Ace Preventer and SP Little Knight, combining maybe into another SP Little Knight like last time.
I think he needs to put up more damage now. He looks like Protect Code Talker.
We special summon the Turbulence.
Just for more damage. He's just reading Protect Code Talker real quick.
Nice to see the Cybers package there. It's just been so amazing to see how people have elevated the Rescue Ace strategy, not only using cards from Age of Overlord, but throughout this year.
Yeah, the Cybers package, a lot more prominent pre-Age of Overlord, but now it's still showing that it might still be the better route anyway.
HQ to shuffle back. Yep.
HQ is going to be able to shuffle back here, putting back the Preventer, and looks like 3 spells, so you're able to set 2 more if you want to with the open spell and trap zones.
And because you've got that Rescue Ace Hydrant, you could even activate one of them now. So we might be able to extend our way into the climactic ending of this duel.
Yes.
Take a look at the Rescue Ace HQ again, just like Asala has said. It's not going to give any boost there because there are no monsters on Clifton's field.
Effect Turbulence set.
Yep, Turbulence is going to set at least the Rescue and the Alert, I imagine, because the Rescue will be able to just summon back that Preventer, get another nice chunk of damage. Already a lot represented here.
Fire department in full display there, so those quick play spell cards are going to go down.
17 with the Rescue Airlifter.
Looks like this is where we're going to call it. We're going to go ahead and start attacking now.
23.
So that's 4,000, 3,000. So that's going to leave him at just 1,000. And Rescue is going to be attempted to be used, targeting that Preventer.
This might be it.
He's going to force out a Book of Eclipse at least.
Making sure.
Yeah, you're good.
And then the last swing, that's going to be a Book of Eclipse. Do you have Ash in your hand? I think he does. And there's the Ash, and that's enough.
Oh, their handshake goes again. That's the second time we've seen Ash Blossom close out a game because of the use of Book of Eclipse. So what a wonderful duel here.
I mean, realistically, if the Eclipse resolved, you're at 1,000 and he's drawing 4 during the end phase. I don't know if it would have really changed that much.
Probably not. 4 is the magic number for Rescue Ace, so it looks like Steven Santoli advances again.
Yeah, I mean, we saw game 1 just a really strong showing of what the decks can do when their back's against the wall. But then, unfortunately, games 2 and 3, neither player really got to get started as much as they want to. Well, game